A lot of people, myself included, are very hyped up on the new Hades, thinking that this might be one of the future focal points of Ruby Amethyst moving forward, especially after set rotation. We may see that happen, we may not. This card may completely fizzle out, it may not be needed. I can definitely tell you from very, very, very limited testing, and I will be testing it more against human players soon and can make updates and have some more insights. But sometimes this card feels like it's not needed. Other times it feels like it's absolutely needed. So what does that mean for the deck long term? I'll tell you from just general TCG experience, if a card is a little bit more conditional, it's usually long term for the meta is not going to be needed. But when this card is good, it is very good. And where you want to test this card to see if it is actually going to be a staple in Ruby Amethyst is how impactful is a card like this going to be in the faster matchups where you may not get this card out to actually make a difference. So a good example is against Chernodog, a deck that wants to win very, very quickly. A card like this is a brick, right? Like how often are you actually going to get up to the 7 ink in order to actually play this and generate the advantage that you want to generate? Well, in order to do that, and again, I posted a brief sim to discuss this for the members of the channel. To do this, you want to build your deck in a way where you can get to your endpoint, right? The goal of your deck is I need to slow the opponent down so that I can grind out my win in the end game, right? Set up my Hades, out advantage my opponent, and I have a number of different tools to do that. I have a lot of tap down and removal options. I've got big bodies that can deal with exerted threats that, like Daisy Ducks and stuff that have high willpower that I need to run over. And I have ways to claw back lore if the game does get away from me. And then, utilize the Shark Pirates Life combination there. So a lot of interesting things to do in a deck like this if you opt to build Ruby Amethyst this way. This is a stark departure from the Merlin Mim. As you can see, there are no Merlin or Mim. So you can even look at a deck like this and think, post rotation, could something like this end up working? Let's talk about it. In the 1-drop slot, no Chernobog, no Magic Broom. Instead, we're opting for Diablo for a number of reasons. One, because this is one of the cards that we can pump up with things like Hypnotic Strength, like Merlin Crab, which again is likely going to be rotated out. But there are other, 2 and 3 cost, I think, Amethyst strength boosting cards. Not as efficient as Crab, but we can talk about that a little bit later. Anyways, boost up the Diablo and get a good trade off, but also this is one of the cards where you can take 2 damage off of the Madame Medusa, the new one in set 8, or the new Hades Ruthless Tyrant, to just deal 2 damage to this after it's quested or whatever, and then banish it because it takes 2 damage. You draw a card off this, you draw a card off of the Hades, or 2 cards off the Hades, you draw 3 in total. Off the Madame Medusa, you banish it, you draw a card, and Madame Medusa bounces a character with, I think it's cost 2 or less. It's not strength, right? It's cost 2 or less. So that's why we're opting for the Diablo. The new Palace Guard, and I've talked about this before, is, in my opinion, a card that likely is going to be meta relevant. The Vanish ability on this card, not really a huge factor. If anything, it's a bit of a psychological good thing even. And I talked about this in the set 8 Amethyst review, where if you really want to waste tempo, waste a card on targeting this, you're not going to strength this, you're not going to storm rage this, you might fire the cannons it, and yeah, sure, you trade 1 for 1, but you're gonna use up a 3-cost song on a card like this. No, you're not going to do that, right? Are you gonna throw multiple characters into this because it's a 1/4, similar to Daisy? It's gonna take up a lot of resources to eat up. Sure, waste that turn, don't get the lore, instead challenge down this character. If you don't challenge down this character, well, similar to the Diablo and same logic behind the Queen of Hearts, it's a 1/4 body that becomes a 4/4 off of Crab. It becomes a 3/4 off of Hypnotic Strength. It can become a 4/4 off the Moana. So a lot of strength boosting things. And again, this whole theme of if I deal damage to my cards with this new Madame Medusa, with the Hades Ruthless Tyrant, right? Again, big bodies, they can absorb these pieces of damage and live. Very, very positive, right? If I have a Palace Guard in play, I can just deal the 2 damage to it. If it doesn't have damage already, it will survive. And I still have a Quester or a Challenger on board, and I've drawn 2 off my Hades, or I've triggered the Madame Medusa bounce ability while still maintaining my character, right? We all know Queen of Hearts can take that damage, wants to take that damage, so she becomes a 4/4 for 2, which is absolutely crazy. And it's a nice way to just it's just natural synergy, right? You instantly proc Queen of Hearts, turning her online to a 4/4. Could you imagine just having this on turn 2, right? and then your opponent's like, okay, like Queen of Hearts, and then turn 3 you go, Madame Medusa, deal 2 damage to this, make it a 4/4, bounce a 2 cost card that you played, and now my Queen of Hearts trades out into another threat. You just cleared your opponent's board, bouncing their readied character most likely, and then taking out whatever they had because this is a 4/4, right? You clear a board turn 2/3, right? Like potentially, obviously not guaranteed, but potentially with a concept like this. Again, you could play more Madame Medusa. I'm just opting for 2 because I'm still sticking to the Peter Pan Iago combination, which has proven, in at least set 7's meta to be pretty decent, especially with the Moana as the other 4 cost card. But like this package here is potentially very, very good to help clear early game boards and deal with aggro, right? You have also Palace Guard, which if on 3 you don't go for the Madame Medusa Queen of Hearts, you can go Merlin into Queen of Hearts or Palace Guard. Like you don't get the bounce ability to slow the opponent down tempo-wise, but you still get a 3-cost Singer. That's a 3/3, similar to Madame Medusa, but also has the ability to crash and do things on turn 4 in order to proc the challenger ability again. So a pretty nice and robust low drop package in my opinion. Again, from very, very limited testing, it's proven to be okay. This is the card that may or may not end up being utilized. Like there's a lot of different things you can do with Ruby Amethyst. Like the Flynn Rider might see play again because of the 3-drop Prince John. That's a 5/5 body. Like that combination could become a thing again. Or not again, but like Flynn Rider could come back into the meta simply because you have a Prince John 5/5 that comes down on 3 following up the Flynn Rider, which is crazy. But one of the main reasons why is this is a 1/3, right? So again, it can take 2 damage off of Hades or Madame Medusa, survive, and then if you use it to trade out, it's a 3/3, right? Off Crab, it's a 6/3. Off Hypnotic Strength, it's a 5/3, and it's also a shift target for Ursula Sea Witch Queen. So naturally the 2-drop Ursula seems to fit in well. Where this card does hurt is that it does get bounced by Kit Cloud Kicker and stuff like that, which hurts quite a bit actually if you're trying to curve out nicely. Like this getting bounced can actually lose you the game on turn 2. So there is that consideration. You could opt to maybe do something like Raja, which is also a Vanish character, right? A 2-cost 3/3 body if you just want power. I don't think you play Snake because you don't want to really lose tempo. And then, I mean, I'm sure there's other 2-cost cards we could explore, but I just put this in there for now because I do want to play the Ursula Sea Witch Queen. So that is your 3-drop, 2-drop, 1-drop package. It is very important to flesh this out correctly, though, and identify where your weaknesses lie and like what are potentially like game losing plays for you. And like I said, the Kit Cloud Kicker on Ursula Sea Witch Queen in an aggro deck where you're on the draw could be like game over right away for you. So you just got to be really aware of that. I mean, Kit hits everything here, right? Which could be a problem, which is why I say you might want to consider the Raja instead. But the 4-drop package, no Goat, no Rabbit, those cards are slow. They're very good, don't get me wrong. And in grind games and control matchups, they are the cards that win you those games. But we now have a better way to grind with the Hades Ruthless Tyrant, or at least I'm saying this now. Don't get me wrong. I've been and if you watch my channel, I've been a huge advocate of Merlin Rabbit. I've said it is like the ideal card. It generates so much card advantage, right? I liked it more than Genie when I called that a long time ago, etc. But I'm saying it now. I think the Hades in the control matchup is potentially the more impactful card because Rabbit, you got to remember, Rabbit, you're playing on curve on 4, and if you're playing Rabbit on 4, you're not playing a card that's actually going to be able to contest the board. Iago, well, Iago and Moana don't immediately contest the board unless you have the Peter Pan Shadowfinder in play, but they're just big bodies that now your opponent's like, I have to deal with this. They are susceptible, right, because of the Vanish ability, and this is where Vanish does matter. You may see an increase in actions that target your stuff simply to deal with more Iagos in the meta if it becomes a bigger problem overall, or if you see a lot of decks on this. But this card is very, very good. When you have the Peter Pan Shadow setup, like this combination can literally win you the game come turn 4. Like it's literally that strong. Again, depending on the matchups, but where you care about surviving is in the early game. Against control matchups, I think the Hades will do enough work long term to win you those games. But to slow the opponent down enough, which is again what I'm talking about here, right? Like Hades doesn't matter in a game if you lose the game by turn 5. Right? Like you're not getting to the Hades. So how do you prolong the game to get to where you can start activating your your cards that you actually want to play? Well, it's by slowing down your opponent. It's why you're playing a package like this, right? To always deal with the opponent's threats. I'm not playing Magic Brooms and Chernobyls. I'm not trying to generate advantage off my 1-drops anymore. I'm just going straight gas, big bodies, contest the board, and then set up my endgame, because the philosophy of this deck has changed. Right? Again, if you think about it, if on turn 4 I'm playing Goat or I'm playing Rabbit, Goat is different. Goat is still a 4-3. Rabbit is a 2-3. It's very weak, and it's great. It draws you a card, and then it's going to bounce and draw you another card, but it's slow, right? It's good in a control matchup, not good in an aggro matchup. And you guys know this. If you've played the game, you know. You're like, I'm getting aggroed out, and I have a Rabbit on 4, and Rabbit's great, but like, I don't need a card right now. I need to remove threats off the board. Iago coming down can run into multiple characters, right, over time, and actually take them out with its 4-6 stat line. Moana, same thing. And with Peter Pan, Shadowfinder, the combination works as if, you're just rushing in right away and taking out the threats immediately. And again, in my demo video, I show that because aggro strategies will still struggle against the Peter Pan Shadowfinder. Again, this does get bounced by Kit Cloudkicker, which again is showing you where one of the major cruxes of a deck like this is. But that being said, if you're able to just slow them down enough and develop these threats, especially with the Elsa on the follow-up to force the tap down, or the Maui coming in and just cleaning things up, slow them down long enough to develop the Shark, put that stopgap on, start playing the Pirate's Life, recur advantage. And then if you are able to set up the half Shark with the Ursula Sea Witch Queen, again, I showcase this in the demo match, assuming your opponent isn't trying to aggressively out your board in a control matchup, your philosophy does switch because they'll likely have removal options as a control player themselves. But this setup will just lock up the game for you, right? The Hades will ensure that you have enough resources to continually contest the board, and this is where the difference is. Rabbit coming down on 4. I've been building up to this point, but this is the not punchline, whatever. This is what I'm trying to say. Rabbit comes down, draws you 1, gets bounced or gets removed from the field, draws you another card. That's net 2, right? If Rabbit gets bounced back to your hand, it technically represents draw 4, right? Because you're going to replay it and rebounce it, or replay it and it gets removed, whatever. But that draw 4 is going to be across several turns, and it's going to cost you a lot of ink, right? Because you're replaying the Rabbit, you're replaying the cards, or not replaying, but playing the cards to bounce the Rabbit. That is tempo. That is your ink for turn being used to generate card advantage. And that's fine as long as you can control the board state, right? Or in your control matchup and the game is not getting away from you. In an aggro matchup, again, like I said, Rabbit is just not it, right? Hades is different. Hades comes down for 7 ink, so no be prepared. Hades instead, because you don't need to be prepared, right? You've been controlling the board state up to this point already. Hades comes down. It's the one-time cost 7 ink. I don't need to invest anymore. The investment is I'm dealing damage to my characters. I'm not spending ink to bounce. Like, you guys understand the trade-off there and what this does? I play the Hades, I get my 2 cards right away, right? Again, a small condition of having another character that you can deal damage to should not be very hard to meet, but you drop the Hades, you don't need to worry about, I need to now, play a card to bounce my Rabbit and generate the extra card draw. You've seen it. You've seen people be like, I need to dig for answers. I need to bounce my Rabbit. No, you play the Hades, you deal 2 damage, you draw 2 cards. There's my 2 cards. End of story. That's it. My investment is done. 7 ink. I have a 2 quester, 3/6 body that can actually challenge if I needed to. Not that you'd want to, because you definitely want to quest and gain the card advantage off of this. But if you need to, it is a body that can do that and survive because it's a 6 willpower character. And then, like I said, you start questing with this thing, you deal 2 damage. You don't need to replay Rabbit. Like, it's not like a Rabbit. You don't need to spend another 4 ink to play it out to get another card draw, right? You're just like, okay, I'm just going to quest with this now and then deal 2 damage. And again, a lot of synergy. A lot of people are cooking up different things that you can do. I'm a little less on that high roll combo, like, the Maleficent, that I think it's when you draw cards, you gain lore or something like that. I'm not on any of that stuff, but what is it? There's a 6 cost Hydra that when it takes damage, you can deal damage to something your opponent has. Like, that's all fine, but that's a 6 cost uninkable. I'm trying to, if you guys didn't see in the beginning, I'm trying to make a deck that's actually easy to play. I don't want to brick. I don't want to draw, like Hades and Hydra, to have 2 dead cards for 6 turns in my hand, right? Having 1 dead card, again, if you guys play, that's, it hurts. Having this card on turn 1, in your opening hand because you mulliganed into it and you're like, okay, now I have a dead Hades in my hand for 7 turns. Same thing with Be Prepared, right? But, Be Prepared gets ripped out of your hand with Ursula Deceiver. This doesn't. All of that aside, this card, you understand what I'm saying? I don't need to constantly reinvest ink, spend my tempo to develop the card draw with this. And that's why I think it's really good, because I quest with it, I deal 2 damage to something, I draw my 2 cards, I have all my ink available, I can actually play to remove stuff. I can play the Dragonfire, I could play the Brawl, I could play the Elsa tap down, I can quest with Ursula, tap stuff down, drop the Shark, hopefully have Rush on it, you know what I mean? I can use my ink to actually remove stuff because my card draw is now essentially, air quotes, free. Not really free, you take 2 damage on something, but it's essentially free. And the theme of this deck, if you haven't been able to pick up on it, yes, it's only 8 on Inkables, which is, again, being accessible, being easy to play. But the theme is a lot of big bodies. 7 willpower, 5 willpower, 5. Well, 3 is not great, but it's still better than 2. 6, 3. Everything in here except for the Diablo can take the 2 damage off of Medusa or off of the Hades and live. Right? Except for the Diablo, and the Diablo still procs a draw when it gets banished. These cards are also inherently synergizing with the fact that they're big bodies, they're hard to remove on the board, ensuring that I should have characters in play to easily trigger the Medusa and or Hades, as well as playing the strength boosting cards, well, challenger boosting at least, in the Merlin Crab, in the Hypnotic Strength to get extra value off of these cards. Like the Synergy, you can see how it's kind of coming together. That is the goal of this deck. It is a stark departure from the way Ruby Amethyst has been traditionally built. You control the board state early on, right? Just remove. You're not depending on Be Prepared because, again, Be Prepared is a tempo loss, but I mean, if you can sing it, it's a different story. And then you aim to develop your endgame package of Shark, Sea Witch Queen, Ruthless Tyrant. You don't need all of them. You know, seeing 1 piece is enough usually, but seeing 2 is absolutely insane. You can see they tap down with the Ursula, synergizes with the Maui Shark. You don't want to quest and turn your stuff sideways? I'll do it for you. Shift Ursula, Sea Witch Queen, quest, tap down your thing, Maui Shark, take down what I just tapped down, right? Hades, you're not going to do it, like just quest with the Hades, draw into these cards to set up for later on. Like the Advantage engine is just insane. And then your action package, 2 Hypnotic Strength, 3 Brawl, 1 Dragonfire. Kind of want to play 2 Dragonfire, and you play enough on like you don't play that many on Inkables that you could probably make it work. But I'm already at 61 cards because I was playing 4 Hades, and I thought that was probably too much actually. So I cut a Hades, and I forget what else I cut, but then I put in an extra Ursula because I was only on 2. But this card is just really good. Like. It's the only enchanted I've actually bought. I bought 1 because I love this artwork, which is crazy. But like, I don't even like this artwork. I like this one. Anyways, Steel Song is going to be a problem. It has always been a problem. And this card just does so much. It's actually like, this card is so good. I'm amazed at how cheap it is. But like, honestly, this card is, man, if I could pick up more enchanteds for that price, I probably would. Anyways, and this is in USD, right? It's not, I mean, I buy in Canadian dollars, but this card is just good, man. This card is just good. And it can sing Be Prepared, right? Because other characters can't sing, but this can sing. But this sings Pirate's Life for you. This, if you wanted to play Be Prepared, could play that. Honestly, it's and again, you guys, if you guys watch my videos, you know, I'm a believer in Rabbit. I'm a believer in Be Prepared, and neither of them are in this deck. That should tell you how much of a fundamental shift this is from Ruby Amethyst, right? Again, we'll see how it tests. I need to test it more, but this is the concept behind the deck. Probably want to play more Madame Medusa. I don't know yet how I'm going to fix the ratios. The 4-drop package is a little thin. We only got 6 4-drops. You still run the risk of like, if I don't open a 1-drop, I don't see a 2-drop, like how does the curve end up developing out? Like you're still going to have those problems always. But yeah, the deck when you are able to push to that midpoint in the game and stay like I'm on 5-6 ink and your opponent isn't on like 18 lower, you feel like you probably win the game. That's the goal of the deck, right? The song package, 2 Pirate's Life and 4 Friends. I don't like playing 1. I like playing 2 because sometimes you're forced to ink 1 and you always want to have a second available. You really don't want to ink a Pirate's Life if you don't have to, just because it is one of the key pieces for Maui Shark. But the value you get off the Shark is just ridiculous, right? Like, again, if you watch DKP's list, Maui Shark getting back Develop, Maui Shark getting back Visions. It's just like free card advantage, right? Turn Visions into one of the next 5 cards on the top of my deck. That's crazy. Maui Shark becoming Boost and Draw. Draw 2. Gain 3, make you lose 2, right? Well, all of them are going to be gain 1 lore in the process, right? When you play Get Back, generic Banish, get back, banish more efficient. Like it's get back ink. Like Maui Shark. I don't know, man. Like this card's very good. So, anyways, that is the deck. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. A lot of testing to be done, but just going to be trying something new, right? We've seen a lot of attempts to innovate with Ruby Amethyst, and they haven't really panned out. We've always gone back to rabbits, foxes, snakes. Not even snakes, but like foxes and stuff like that. This is a stark departure, and I know what some of you are going to say. Quantum, Madam Mim Elephant. Yes, I tried to make it work in here. I didn't actually play it to test it, but like to me, Madam Mim Elephant comes down, right? And it's tempo loss. I don't want to lose my characters on board. That's why there's no Mims in this deck. Like, yes, I understand. Putting 2 damage on it with the Hades and the next turn moving that damage is nice. Bell, really good too. Like another 5 cost. Bell comes in, moves damage. You could say Bell, but like, am I really going to cut Elsa's or Maui's for the Bell? No, Elsa is guaranteed tap down. Bell is conditional on me having the counters. Bell is on 5. The only way I trigger Bell is if I have Madame Medusa or crashed my stuff, which I probably do, right? Moving counters off Iago is always good. But I'm playing Bell before Hades, usually, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, I have a Bell, let me not play it because I need to play my Hades. You know what I mean? Like, it's awkward. Elsa's just come down, do the job right away. Maui, same thing. You can kind of see that's the concept of this deck. Put the threats on the board, threaten taking out or controlling the board state, and then develop your card draw engine in the later game. This is why I was playing 4 Hades, but again, it's a little bricky, so I cut it down to 3. You should still be able to see one, hopefully. And then one of the issues that I haven't really thought through yet or tested through yet is against discard. Because the issue against discard is going to be, can I get up to the 7 ink fast enough where I could actually play my Hades if I draw it? If you play the Hades against discard, like, you should be fine, but you're not playing the Pegasus, but you are playing the Shadow Finder, the Iago, the Moana for the Diablos. You do have brawls. You know, you have the one of Dragonfire. If the Diablo is on a Cove, you know, maybe the Hypnotic Strength plus the Peter Pan can do some work there. You know, again, Crabs or Moana is also boosting up strength. So the discard matchup might be a little dicey because if they discard your hand before you get to 7 ink, that could be problematic. But again, playing low on inkables helps. It means that you can probably just keep inking and hopefully you don't brick. So again, you're trying to cover as many bases as possible, but you can't cover everything until you start doing very extensive testing, which will come in time. But anyways, let me stop rambling. Let me wrap up this deck profile. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you going to try something like this? Are you building something completely different? Are you sticking to traditional Ruby Amethyst still? Are you just making small tweaks here and there? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you again for watching. If you made it this far, Quantum is out.